An entire world is ready
for you to start your career teaching the path to wellness.
Mastering the science of mindfulness.
And the art of coaching.
To help clients achieve mental, emotional, and physical betterment of life.
Through movement,
nutrition,
recovery, and regeneration.
Because impacting one person impacts a family.
Impacting a family impacts a community.
And impacting a community impacts the world.
Become an NASM Certified Wellness Coach.
You're listening to the NASM-CPT Podcast with Rick Richey, winner of the Share Care Emmy Award for Social Storytelling and the official podcast of the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Hey, y'all, and welcome to the NASM-CPT Podcast. My name is Rick Richey, and today I have such a treat for myself, for you. I have a guest with us today. She is an Olympic gold medalist, which is not something I could say the last time I spoke with her. It is great to have you on the show. Welcome, Lindsey Jacobellis. Hello.
Hello. It's so great to be back and to be able to have that title since, we weren't able to say that last time. So it's been a long, long road, but it's finally happened, and it's so incredible. Some days it just doesn't seem real.
It's amazing. So let me ask you a question. Now that you've got the gold, where do you keep them? Where do you put them?
Well,
around my neck all day long.
I haven't actually been home all that much right now. So they've kind of just been traveling with me, and I have some trips here and there. So I've actually just left them with my parents at their house. So I think I'll want to try to make some sort of a cool case or frame for them so they can be displayed a little bit nicer instead of just the little bags that I have them in to keep them safe while I travel.
Yeah, all right. I think that's a great idea. I would be wearing them, I think, continually just around my neck. Beijing 2020 Winter Olympics were really, really good. Really, really good to you. But it was an elusive journey to get here. And for those of you who don't know, Lindsey has an incredible list, has eluded you, has been that gold medal. And you had been favored many times for that. And just, there were little hiccups, there were little bumps. And I also think that there were times that you actually also medaled, which is incredible considering some of the hits that were taken. So talk us through some of the bumps in the road and the fortitude that you had to continue going and to finally get up on that stand.
Well, like you said, it's been a long go at it. I've been on the U.S. team for 20 years now and been competing on the World Cup stage. It's how we qualify for the Olympics. And, I have 31 World Cup wins, and I've done X Games and World Championships, but it seems that cycle every 4 years, I've just had bad luck with that certain competition. And in 2006, I got a silver. I was the favorite to win, and I just fell short of that. And, that was always what I was known for as an individual. And that was really hard to have that marked on me as such a young athlete, being 20. And every 4 years, that cycle, and they want to always name it redemption or something else when it was really something just unfortunate happened. Because if you looked at the statistics, if you looked at my history outside of the Olympic cycle, I was consistently winning or on the podium. I think I have a 50% chance even now of being on the podium with my current stats. And it was just bad luck, which then goes to show how the Olympics really are for a lot of athletes. So many athletes deserve to be on that stage and to potentially even win on that single day. But it comes down to just these crazy percentages or chances that just don't line up, and it's hard. And it was always hard for me to watch Summer Olympics or any other big sporting event where it didn't go well for a specific athlete, because I could empathize with that athlete and I knew how that felt to just be so close and then to be branded as someone who fell short for 16 years. So I had many times that I wanted to either move on or exhaust other options in my life, but I would step back a little bit in the off season and maybe go over those realities, but then decided no, that I still loved being a part of racing and the sport and wanted to keep pushing the development for the sport, especially on the women's side. So it was something I wasn't ready to stop or give up. So, just took it in those 4-year blocks of training, and our preparations, really always the same. In the summer, we're doing more conditioning and then get into strength. And then in the fall, it's more explosives and keeping that strength up as best as possible throughout the winter, and then starting all over again with that cycle. And it's been like that for 20 years, but it has helped my body really stay, considering what it's been through, surgeries, all the injuries. I'm still in a pretty decent shape considering getting banged up a lot. So I have to say, having that regimented, workouts and just taking care of my body has definitely helped me in longevity. So it's finally incredible to say that I'm an Olympic gold medalist, not once, but twice, and being able to have won the team event, which was a new event this year. And it was so wonderful to then have 2 chances to win a medal, and not only do it with a teammate that's been with me for 15 years or more. So, Baum was the oldest male to be winning a medal, and I was the oldest female to be winning the medal.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I realized that.
We were essentially, written off because we were older. Like, we were still, had the skill set, had the possibility of maybe getting on the podium, but we weren't necessarily the favorites. But I think our skill set and our experience overall helped with this style course that was at Beijing over this past winter. So I think that helped out tremendously.
Oh, I love this. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the NASM-CPT podcast, and we have with us Lindsey Jacobellis, Olympic gold medalist. Let's just say this. I think it's important. 2-time Olympic gold medalist. I want to speak this back to you in your words, the word that you used with me the last time we spoke. You used the word, well, let me say it this way. What is it like to be such a seasoned athlete or seasoned competitor with so many young and incredible talents that you get up every day? What's the difference between how you do what you do and what they're doing, or what you used to do as a younger competitor, and how you do your training now?
I think the difference is getting up in the morning. Those young 20-year-olds aren't taking those first steps that are a little stiff and rickety getting up. But, that's the difference of a younger athlete and an older athlete. The younger athlete has to put the time in the gym and those early conditioning years in, because it's not ingrained in their body as much. I have to be training smarter. I can't just be going all out and doing super heavy volume consistently. I can try to stick to a schedule, but I have to be listening to my body. And as soon as I feel like I might be overtraining, I have to reel it back a little bit. I need to be getting enough sleep. I need to be getting the proper nutrition, and the workouts all have to be working together. Now, a younger athlete might potentially be able to stay up and be a little bit social, but then go to the gym the next day and not have quite the same repercussions that I would have if I was in that situation. So I think it's really just learning your body and it's a trial and error like the whole time. And it has been for the last 20 years. You know, some things that you can get away with your body, and, you know, some things that you can't. I've been running and I love running. So that sort of impact and that volume doesn't affect me the same way it does some of the other athletes on my team. A lot of them really like biking. So if they were to switch over and start running and using that as their cardio and then start doing their weight workout, they might have a little bit more pain in their knees or their shins. So it's really just understanding what best works for you and not be getting really discouraged by, I did this workout, this person's doing it, they seem to be having success. I think that's usually a challenge, whether it's your own personal fitness goals or athletes comparing themselves to other athletes. There's no set blueprint to your individual success. You can have a general scale, but then it has to be a sliding scale a little bit. You have to be able to adjust. And if you like biking or you like something that is not as much impact, maybe you try swimming for your cardio. So personally, running has never really hurt me in the long run. And I like having that exercise outside and that movement. And then I can easily go into the gym and it doesn't really hurt me even on a heavy lifting day. So
Nice.
I would say our differences would be, you know, our volumes and our recovery time. So I might be better with having that volume because I've had that history, but I don't have a great recovery as far as comparing myself to a younger athlete. So I have to maybe cheat more and work more on my recovery, and they might have to work differently in a cardio base or something that it hurts them in an impact way. So it's all personal, and that's the fun, is finding out what works for you. It is a trial and error, and that it can be a little stressful when you're having those setbacks, but as long as you set your overall goal and figure out how you want to, you know, get your path to that goal is really the important part.
Right. I love that. And I understand why there are a lot of athletes that might do the biking or the cycling, because it minimizes impacts. And running, if that doesn't bother people, I understand, like, do what you love. And if your body can handle it, make it happen. But there's also another component to it, right? So there's a mental component. There's not just a physical recovery and a mental recovery. So with that being said, are you still doing a little bit of this?
The little ukulele.
There's my foul note right there. Are you still doing the uke?
I've been playing it a little bit. That's definitely been really nice. Over the last couple of months, I haven't been able to carry it with me because I was carrying so much equipment. I think actually flying home from where was I? In China. I think I had like 9 bags checked. So,
oh, wow.
You know, it was just a little too much to carry. And I haven't really been home all that much. So I haven't been able to play as much. But my mental strengthening, I think, over the last 8 years has made some incredible strides as far as understanding what I need, understanding how to communicate that to my coaches or other staff members of the US team. And I think that made a really big impact and what I needed in that moment, because it changes. You know, everyone said, oh my gosh, you look so calm. And I was like, really? Because there was moments on TV that I really was not calm, and I try to avoid the camera in the background. And then when you're in the gate, you have no choice. And then at that point, I had to just pull the positives of the situation. I was in the final heat. There's 4 athletes. Instead of being like, oh my God, like there's a lot of pressure to win gold, my concept and thought process was, all right, I'm in a really great position. I got a 75% chance of getting a medal. This is great. This is a great opportunity. Those are great percentages. If I'm just riding how I ride, if I don't win the start, I can draft, and I've got these couple favorite spots that I can pass. If I'm in the lead, I have my pick of the litter of any line that I want. So it was really just playing it as it came to me instead of just trying to think of the one and elusive gold, because that's a really hard thing to really focus on, and it puts so much more stress on an athlete to perform.
Right. Well, I have a theory, and I don't know. I'm just speculating here, but all of your previous Olympics, you were not an NASM-CPT. And correlation is not causation, but you became a certified personal trainer through NASM, and then suddenly, I just want to shout that out and say, like, how did, studying, what led you to NASM to get your certification in personal training? And then were you able to take any of the tidbits that you learned through your studies and apply them with your skills training and your conditioning training and all of that stuff?
I've been wanting to get my NASM certification for a while because I thought it was a great way for me to transition out of sport, whether it was something that I stuck to being a personal trainer or if it helped open other doors to other opportunities. But I just figured I'd already been doing this training at a certain level. Why not start with NASM and go from there? So during the first shutdown, I considered, we can't travel anywhere. We have no idea when competitions and full training or gyms would really be back into effect. So I just decided, you know what? I've already converted my garage into my gym to work out. I might as well be taking this shutdown time to get my certification. And I'd kind of been, going through the textbook and getting some of that information. So I was like, you know what? I should just do the course right now. And, I think I ripped through it in like 3 or 4 months because, there wasn't really much to do. So I was able to fully put all of my time into that. And it helped me really accumulate the knowledge and retain it really well because I didn't have to go back and forth and I had full attention into it. And it really reinforced everything that I knew, but it helped me get better verbal cues for when I was working with anyone, training them, or if I was actually trying to communicate with our physical therapists or with our strength coaches back with the US team of what I felt was happening to my body and how I needed to adjust my training schedule. So it did give me a little bit deeper knowledge into obviously the recovery because of my age and what I needed, as well as I would say utilizing my fast muscle twitch fibers and having to focus on those more because at my age, I saw that being the first to decline if I hadn't been training as long. They would come back quickly, but I have to kind of do just some sort of light maintenance. And so I started to notice that more, which then I could communicate with our trainers, work together to make a really good schedule for when I'm at home and I have everything to work with, or if I'm on the road and I have to be creative with, in a parking structure or in a hotel room or something that is very, very limited to, help me get the best thing. And it's just nice to be working with somebody that had, that knowledge of it and have my, newer ideas come through and have a blend of, both that. So I was really excited to become a part of the NASM team and have that. And then it just sparks your ideas. And then you want to have that health and wellness, knowledge given to everyone because you see how individuals are struggling with certain day-to-day activities, or they have their goals that they have long-term. It's like, I can help you. I can give you a couple things that you could stick to. I think you'll see a few difference, a difference in your lifestyle and in your overall mood in 3 or 6 months. So it was nice to be able to share that experience with others.
Right. Well, as a personal trainer, I know that I have this. We, as personal trainers, fitness professionals, and coaches, have this amazing gift that we give to people. We work with people. There's an incredible connection that we have with our clients and athletes in terms of coaching. So maybe just tell us a little bit about how trainers and coaches have influenced you in your life and your process through all the training that you've done for it seems like your entire life.
Yes, I've had coaches my entire life, starting with T-ball up until my U.S. team coaches that I currently still have. So it's really important to be able to get those bonds and those levels of communication dialed, because you can really see an athlete develop physically, mentally, just the whole package. And I've been working with a strength coach for, over 10 years. And then when everything had shut down, he was always pushing me to get my NASM, and,
Cool.
Things were going so well with snowboarding. I'm like, yeah, I've got my plate full, but I'm definitely going in that direction.
Yeah.
So my trainer, Rob, was always like, you need to do an NASM. You'll love it. You'll be so good at it. Like, you already know so much. And I learned a lot of that process through him, because he was training me on that OPT model, and
Perfect.
utilizing what he knew, and we'd also incorporate any other skills from the US team and blend them, and then figure out the best thing that worked best and responded the best to my body as far as what I needed, as well as allowing me to do my other personal fun things, whether it be surfing or going running, so that he made sure that I wasn't doing too much of one thing to minimize injury and just overuse. So it's really important to have that. And what trainers can give is that inspiration, that comfort, that support, and a great friendship.
That's very true. And at some point, you're going to have to give me maybe Rob's email address so I can give him a personal thank you for bringing you on board to the NASM family. So
will.
Shout out to Rob for that. I do have a question. I want to talk a little bit about social media. And social media, and this is because you have such strength in what it is that you do. You have the many abilities, right? But here's the thing. Social media, it can be very showy. And for many trainers, particularly newer trainers, they may lack some of the fundamentals and kind of skip over it so they can jump and do some of the more fancy things. So for somebody in a sport that it's like built in as an incredible show, your sport, how important are fundamentals in your sport and in your training?
Fundamentals are so important. Every spring we go back to basic conditioning, all the stuff that you're doing, body weight stuff that you think a professional athlete at that caliber is never doing. Body weight stuff, it's everything to re-educate your stabilizers, anything that you have had an imbalance. We're such an asymmetric sport. There's no way we can go one season without getting a little twisted, off balance in any way. So these early months are to really try to strengthen all of those smaller muscle groups and those stabilizers to, one, recognize, do we have a problem somewhere? Do we have any pain somewhere? Address it now before we start getting into heavy lifting, where then further problems can really, really come up to bite you in the butt.
Perfect.
So
yeah,
that's on the conditioning side. And when we get back on our snowboards, 100%, we go back to turning drills, something that I've been doing my whole career, but we go back to turning drills. We're making sure our body position's in the right, right angles, that our boots, that our bindings, everything is flexing, because a lot of the times we're breaking in new equipment. So we're trying to make sure, is this new equipment set up working with our body position? What needs to be tweaked? How do we need to adjust ourselves? So every year we're looping back to fundamentals, and I could see how on social media it would be really exciting to just show a perfect clean, or what is it, the Turkish get-ups. I love doing those, but even just doing wall sits, holding those, isometric, just for overall conditioning, or band exercises. They're not showy, they're not fun, but they're just as important.
Right. I had just on last week's show, I was talking about this a little bit, and I had some guys that are trainers working out at my gym. And then after it was over, they used this phrase. They say, let's shoot some content. And so they go to shoot some content, and it wasn't any of the stuff that they just did. It was an incredible workout they did. But then they turn around and they start doing like kettlebell flips and then like dabbing and stuff like that while it's in the air. And it's all this kind of cool stuff. And they put it on social media. But people look at that and they go, oh, is that what training is? That's what the trainers do. So that must be how they look like that. And or perform these ways, but they don't do that stuff. That's just the showy stuff. They are solid in their fundamentals. That's what they practice. And then they hit record and then do all the crazy stuff.
Right. So those maneuvers that they're putting on for show, those are high-end maneuvers. Those are very specific training tools that have probably taken months to get that muscle coordination, strength, and conditioning to do, because it is cool to see, the big end result. It's, it's not this, it's the same as someone in the half pipe going and doing a double cork instead of just a straight air. They're warm up through the pipe, or in my case, going and hitting the big gap jump instead of inspecting the course. Those are all important things. So there is that shift in reality when you're looking at Instagram, and it is not so instant anymore. It is not the full scope that you're seeing. There are those tidbits missing sometimes. And I think it is a little confusing to clients when they want to come in and do those maneuvers, because they see that person has that body type and they've done that maneuver or workout. So they should be doing that workout and they'll get that body type, instead of seeing the full package. And that's one thing I've had a challenge with when I'm, selling myself as a personal trainer. They see, my body type, they see other people that I work out with. They're like, well, I want your legs or your butt. And it's like, well, I've been working on this for 20 years and I keep doing the same cycle. So you can't just jump into my cycle. We have to be building some basic skills, and it will be a growth process. So it could be 6 months to a year till these people see these kind of results. And that can be discouraging to people and to trainers to helping to re-educate them. But the best thing to do as a trainer to be is you're on the right path, you're making strides to make goals along the way that these individuals are hitting, and reminding them that overall you are healthier and you're going down the direction that you need to get those physical goals achieved.
Oh, I love that. Do y'all lay out SMART goals? Do you go through for your training and say, okay, this is a very specific thing that we want to do. We can measure what that looks like. We identify whether or not that is attainable, whether it's relevant to what you're doing. And then do you put a time, like we need to train for it so we can hit those marks by this time? Do you do that in your sporting environment where you may try something new or hit something new and just lay out a series of goals by a certain time?
Well, our goals and our cycles are within every year, and then we'll be using our Olympic cycle is our 4-year peak. So every year we want to be spiking strength and power wise December, January, February into March. That is hard to sustain the whole year, but we try to peak there. Then we give ourselves a month or two of recovery, not doing absolutely nothing, but just lighter conditioning, movement, and repairs, such as maybe yoga, something that's just stretching, but muscle activation and just, light cardio. And then we'll work through our, conditioning, strength, and power. And then as we see that year goes on, we're like, where did I lose power? Why wasn't I able to maybe sustain it? Do I have to make adjustments when I start a different training protocol throughout the summer? And that way I can get a pretty good base after a couple of years of that to say, okay, we can tweak a couple of things. We don't want to peak too early. Hopefully within this 4-year cycle now, we really have had these last couple of years dialed down. So then in February, when we want to be at our best, we can be.
Yes, absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the NASM-CPT podcast, and we have gold medalist Lindsey Jacobellis, along with all the other hardware that she has. We can now add gold medalists to it. With that being said, I want to share this. So I am the father of a beautiful 13-year-old girl, and I am drawn to a particular project that you were associated with. So can you tell me a little bit about the work that you were doing to help inspire and empower some of the young female athletes? I think it was the Supergirl Snow Pro. Is that still going on?
Well, we actually just snuck in the last event before the shutdown happened, because I think we had it in late February and everything started shutting down in March. And then I hadn't gotten around to redoing it because our contract ended with Bear Mountain. And then I really wanted to give the Olympics my full attention because I figured it might be my last time. So I put Supergirl Snow on the shelf. But Supergirl Surf was still very much happening, and they had to adjust the times that they were actually having the event. I think in the year of the shutdown, they normally have it in the summer. They had moved it to October and didn't have their big outside festivals to the degree that they normally do. Last summer, again, they were able to have it in July. It was outside. It was not to the full scale that it had been, but it was there and it was available. So just being a part of the Supergirl Snow and Surf was such an incredible experience. First, I got to learn the whole production side of an event. So I will never complain about an event didn't have this or it was really lacking in this, because I understand what goes on into coordinating everything. And it's just constant problem solving. You could have it perfectly laid out and then something goes wrong and then nothing else lines up. So then you have to constantly be just, patchworking everything. It was wild. But to see how it impacted these younger women, whether they end up in sport or not, it is just a community that supports women and helps these younger women see what they can really accomplish. So
Nice. Well, I have a question, because this happens to me a lot when I work with people, I instruct people. We teach workshops, which we haven't done since the pandemic, but there are similar workshops from NASM that we've been teaching for ages, and I've been working with NASM for all of 15 years now. And we teach these workshops, and then I get a chance to sit back when we partner teach and somebody else teaches. And almost every time I sit there and I go, oh my gosh, that's so true. That's very good. Maybe I can apply that to myself. Or when I'm working with somebody and I'm coaching them, hearing my words, if I pause and actually listen to myself, I think that's something that I can apply to myself. So when you're doing this with these young girls or any of your clients, you're working with them, do you ever say things out loud and then go, I should really start doing that.
Well, it just reinforces your fundamentals. Ultimately, you are bringing certain individuals back to basics or working on skill sets that you've been doing naturally for years and years that you might actually forget to do yourself.
Yeah.
And it's a great reminder, teaching is the best way to learn as well. So,
Agreed.
it helps you give the appreciation back to those early lessons that maybe you have neglected for a little bit of time. So I've definitely utilized it, and it's whether on snow or just mentoring and helping younger athletes, it helps you then be in the moment. Like, don't get too worried. So I'm always thinking down the road. It's just bringing it back and appreciating the moment is really important.
Nice. All right. Well, I do have another few things that I want to run by you. And one of them is because we're talking about you inspiring other people. Who inspires you, or what inspires you?
I've had a lot of inspiration from so many different sources. And my parents have always been a big inspiration, as well as my brother. My brother got me into snowboarding at such an early age, and being a sibling that's 5 years younger, you are clinging desperately to just be in the scene and be involved with the friends. So I have to work that much harder being a little kid to just be within their circle. So I always felt like I was the underdog, but that was the role that I was really good at, to just strive to, to go through the adversity that 5 years wasn't a big deal. I could do if my brother was doing it, because I'll just try to do it exactly like he was doing it. So I've been working with a mental coach, Denise Schull from the Rethink Group. And, just what I've learned from her and what I've been able to teach to younger athletes, I think also reinforces my knowledge of her mental training methods, and also helps me educate these younger athletes to really see the bigger picture. And not even just the athletes, I would say educating the parents of what their kid is getting involved in and what that whole picture looks like. And I mean, I could go on and on of who's inspired me. I've had, amazing coaches. I've had, my trainer that's helped and inspired me. And, I have a wonderful family and support system, and all my friends from Roxbury, Connecticut that, never gave up and always supported. And, they hung my banner, my name every 4 years for the last 5 Olympic cycle. I never knew about it. And, I wasn't always living in Roxbury. My parents were there, but I was always all over the globe, and they're always giving me that love and that recognition no matter what. So I would say I'm very thankful for them, and that inspiration and that support has definitely kept me fueled and fired to take on whatever.
Oh, wow. I love it. Well, one more follow-up, and then I'll let you go, because I don't want to keep you and respect your time. And I know you're all over the place, but I want to know what is next for Lindsey Jacobellis. And I also want to know what and how maybe those NASM credentials fit in.
Well, I was in the process of getting my corrective exercise, and I was just about to be taking the test this last November, and I broke my arm and I had to get surgery on it.
Oh no.
So I then really had to put so much focus into therapy and rehabbing my arm. So I was like, I can't take the test now. Like, when you do that cram study, then you're just ready to take the test.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay. And then those couple days go through and you're like, I could probably do it, but it's just not how I like to study and then execute a test. And I was like, you know what? I don't have to deal with this until August. Obviously, my main focus right now is the Olympics and getting my arm healthy and healed and ready to get this going. So I had to put that on the side. So I have all my notes ready to go, and I will be getting back into that to get my corrective exercise. I also really want to get my, senior education for personal training, because I think it is definitely a clientele that's really, really booming right now, because especially I noticed that, my parents are getting old, and it's just little things that I'm trying to correct them to do. So it's safer for them, and it's giving them the most comfort in their daily movement and living. But on another note, personally, I am working on an autobiography.
Yay.
So, and, I did just do the children's book, Sochi, A True Story. And I'd been going around to a couple of schools and reading that. So I feel like I have all these little tiny projects happening, but I am still preparing to race this winter. So I'm going through all of my strength and conditioning, as I would and as I have over the last 2 decades. So mentally haven't really been trying to change too much, just trying to add a few things to my plate and work on that and see what doors open in the meantime. Because right now I'm not fully ready to switch to be an NASM trainer full-time yet. It's something that I still want to get more time and more education before I jump fully into that. But I'm really excited about the other courses that I'm, planning to get, and the knowledge that I can acquire from that.
That's awesome. I will say that I just did several interviews with the authors of every chapter of the Senior Fitness Specialist with that NASM just put out. And they are amazing. The content is incredible. I read the chapters before I interviewed the people, and it's riddled with incredible research, a lot of great content, a lot of great application. So I think that's great, and I do suggest that to you. But I also want to say this, and this is something I've been thinking about it just as you were talking, right? So you're still outperforming, right? And you're doing all this stuff, but what's it like for you, as it's almost like the last woman standing in many respects, right? Like people that you started with, people that started after you started, and they're retiring before you. Like, what is that like to see like all these people start to fall off and you're still going at it?
I wouldn't look at it as necessarily falling off. It's just going different walks of life. And right now, I still have something to give snowboarding, whether it will be at the capacity of me being as a competitor, or maybe being a part-time coach, part-time coach and strength and conditioning coach. There's so many opportunities, and I have not decided what calling will be the strongest, especially transitioning out of something I've dedicated over 20 years to. I don't think I can just flip a switch and be like, okay, I'm going to train and do this. I really wanted to dabble but what drew me to the NASM program and platform is I felt like I could get so much knowledge and tap into so many other fields, because there were so many, different programs to really look into. I thought, I would for sure want to be coaching young athletes, or be, teaching teens, but I could be very, very happy with having more of, older clients, or ex-athletes, or people that aren't traveling as much, that have had that seasoning and that conditioning, but they want to have better longevity in their life, or they just want to improve their quality of life. So I was really, really excited to see what could be offered to me through the NASM channels. And then I felt like if I had that, then I could particularly go in any direction, because I'd have such a strong basis of knowledge.
100%. Lindsey Jacobellis, thank you so much for taking time to share with us your story. I will be the first person to buy your book when it comes out. I'm ready. I'm ready right now. Can you do this? Let people know your social media handles, your website, things like that, so they can follow you.
I'm probably the most engaged on Instagram, and it's just my first and last name, Lindsey Jacobellis. I definitely haven't been as active in the last month. I've just been really trying to catch up with family. But as the season is picking up, I'm back in conditioning, back to what I'm doing. I will definitely be getting more involved on that. And I've been doing, reels and workouts and adventures, of course. So that's probably the best way to interact.
Fantastic. All right. I follow you. So I'm always checking in and waiting to see for those next ukulele post too. With that being said, thank you so much for being here, being part of the NASM-CPT podcast. And for those of you who are watching, I want to say thank you so much, or listening. Thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, make sure you share this with your fitness family. And then you can reach out to me on Instagram at dr.rickrichy, or you can email me at rick.richey@nasm.org. This has been the NASM CPT podcast.